So why you should hire me? The reason why I believe that you should hire me is because I am a positive team player who loves to engage with other people, use my skills in verbal and written communication to build relationships and communicate with others through social media, email, news releases, press releases. I've learned a lot of things over the years that have essentially built up all of my experience in public relations, media relations, marketing, communications, that have all taught me to become a relationship builder. And based on what you've said and the research I've done for this specific position, I have realized that you guys are looking for someone who communicates well through multiple platforms, and I believe that my experience aligns well with all of that. I'm skilled in communicating with diverse people across multiple platforms. That can be through the phone, email, social media, e-blasts, any marketing tools, along with social media and digital marketing. I'm able to communicate through my experience working as a communications assistant along with a social media ambassador. I have gained many skills that will be able to be shown in this specific position. When I was a social media ambassador, I ran multiple social media platforms, tweeted daily, posted content. When I was a communications assistant, I did the same. However, my role was a little different, as I did send out e-blasts, and I worked more on the marketing side, created some advertisements and banners for magazines, advertisements on their website, along with their social platforms. So I have a lot of experience in what you are looking for, and I think that my skills and tactics that I've learned throughout my experience, along with in the Bachelor of Public Relations program I'm in now, I will be able to use all of that knowledge and experience and apply it to this position where I will excel in. A time that I've used logic and good reason was when I was in a group of three. I had two group members that just didn't get along with each other. It was hard when it came to finishing our work and getting together for group meetings. One member would show up, the other member wouldn't, and they would just constantly bicker. So I tried to mediate the situation and create a compromise for the both of them so that everyone would be happy and that we could move forward and continue to work. So instead of scheduling meetings on a day that one person would be rushed to get to, we scheduled a meeting where we were all free. Well, I tried to schedule a meeting where we were all free so that both members would be able to be there and one member couldn't complain about the other not being there. And then for work, I split everything up so that it was equal, whereas before the other group members split things up where one person had more than the other, and there was more work given to other people, which essentially is not fair. So I took it into my own hands and split the work up accordingly so that we all had something to do, and it was equal and fair for everyone. And then in terms of, we had a presentation. Again, the speaking was unfair, so I took it into my own hands and I created slides for specific people, and so one group member had to say one thing on here, and it was just, I made sure that it was organized, fair, equal, and then everyone was kind of happy. So coming to a compromise with everything was where I was able to use my logic and good reason so that I could make everyone happy. That's kind of what I was trying to accomplish there, and it was great because I succeeded in that. So a time that I've had to work in a team setting to achieve a result was when we had a case study in one of my ethics classes, and it was a mock news release. What I kind of took the role as would be a leader in a sense. I researched all the information and helped my group members out when it came to preparing for the news release, what each of us were going to say, who was going to ask what question. I tried to, again, divide the work accordingly so that we all had equal time to talk, share information, and present. I wanted to make sure that we got a good mark on that, so I made sure that we all started early. Opposed to starting maybe like a week early, I made sure that we started 2 weeks early when it came to researching the initial issue and the problem. I made sure when it came time that one person printed out the paper. Each week we had like a follow-up paper that we had to talk about specific issues regarding the Dove campaign, which is what we were doing. So every week one person was in charge of printing off the paper and handing it in to our teacher, opposed to one person always printing off the paper and using their print credits. I essentially created our own group chat online so that we could have an easier way to communicate with each other, as one person had a Samsung and then we all had iPhones, so I didn't think that it would be appropriate to only have an iMessage group chat. So instead I used Facebook so that we could all communicate when it came to due date time and exchanging information. I always tend to kind of steer towards the leadership role, as I don't really like to follow others. Instead, I kind of like to motivate other people. So that was kind of what my role was in this position. When we didn't really get a good mark, my job was to motivate them and push them to think positively and kind of change their view on that negative mark so that we could turn our next mark into a positive one. So yeah, that's kind of what I always seem to try and be the leader in a situation so that everyone can be happy along with me as well. An accomplishment that I've had was when I was working at Responsible Distribution Canada as a communications assistant. I was told to just create a rough draft article of what I've done over the summer in the You Be the Chemist program, and just submit it to my manager when I could. Just use my creative brain, she said. So I made like an infographic article. It looked amazing. I thought it was pretty good. So I sent it to her, and she said she absolutely loved it. She decided to put it in our summer magazine called The Communicator, and I was featured in it. My article was featured in it, along with one of the banners that I created for a social platform. So I think that was definitely an accomplishment, because I've never been featured in a magazine before for something that I've created myself. So yeah, flip side, something that I haven't done well was a couple months ago, I had this project that I really didn't enjoy. I didn't really have an interest in what I was doing. It's not something that I would see myself doing in the future. So I kind of just procrastinated, and then until the day of, I completed it, and maybe like 3 hours before the due date, I submitted it. I just focused on other things that were more interesting to me. Instead of this, I put it at the back of my list, and then getting my marks back, I didn't really get a good mark, which kind of, I expected it in a sense. However, it taught me a lesson not to procrastinate, regardless if you like an assignment or not, or you're doing something in life that just doesn't appeal to you. You still have to work on it, and you still have to put that effort in. So that's kind of like, I learned something from it, which is good. And now I try not to procrastinate. on any of my projects, assignments, or even stuff when it comes to life. So I guess, yeah, that's something that just didn't go well for me. So I've had a few times when I've been overwhelmed at work. Um, in the summer, I was working a 9 to 5 job as an internet responsible distribution Canada, and I was given multiple tasks at once that weren't related to each other. So I was given office administration jobs that I would have to complete, along with some social media postings, and then I had to write an article on top of that. So within 4 days, I had probably about 8 to 10 like little tasks and assignments I had to do. I had a couple little ones and then a few like ones that I knew would take a lot of time. I was feeling awfully stressed in that situation, but I was able to overcome it by using my time management and organizational skills. So I scheduled times for when I was going to do certain tasks. I knew one task was due on the Wednesday, one was due on the Friday. So I was able to put my priorities in order. So I knew I had to get something that was due on Wednesday done. I would try and schedule it. I would finish it by Tuesday, and whatever's done due Friday. After I was finished what I was done on Tuesday for Wednesday, then I would start on the Friday assignment on the Wednesday. I always like to finish things before like due dates for them. So that was what I was trying to do, and it worked. I used my Outlook calendar so that I could strategize when I would be completing these things, when I would have time, set reminders for myself to make sure that I finish those assignments on time and at the specific due date. I also spoke to my manager, let her know that I had a lot going on right now. So I'm going to be finishing up all of these projects all at once. Kind of set myself in my own little bubble and put all of my focus into something, took out all distractions out, and made sure that I was able to finish all of the tasks and assignments I was given on time and done like effectively, and obviously making sure that they looked good, specifically for like the social media posts. I was able to get through that because of those time management skills. Had I not have set specific like kind of due dates for myself prior to those due dates, then I wouldn't have been able to get things finished on time. I even stayed a little bit later after work some days just so that I could push through it and finish things. Because again, I don't want to submit things after a due date or the day of the due date. I always want to do it before the due date. So those are kind of some of the strategies that I use to overcome those.